Welcome to your Society's interim trading update for the 23-24 financial year. The Society's interim report can be found on the Society's website for those members that wish to obtain a copy. Due to falling attendances at interim meetings over recent years, the decision has been taken this year not to hold an interim meeting. But in these difficult trading times, it is felt that members may still be interested in hearing how the Society is weathering the storm. And that an appropriate way to do this is through an interim trading update. The challenges that the retail industry have faced so far this year have been well covered by the national media throughout the year. With the high level of inflation driving interest rates have driven down consumers' disposable income. This has led to lower demand for big ticket items and spends on discretionary items. While in the supermarket industry, the discounters have gained big increases in their market share at the detriment of the other operators as consumers seek to make their shrinking disposable income go further. Despite the challenges that the Society has faced, the board and management are of the opinion that the Society has weathered the storm well so far this year. At the end of the first half of the year, the Society has grown its gross takings, including fuel turnover, by 1.7%, a level lower than we anticipated by the business plan. Looking at each business in turn, the food business has recorded growth in gross takings of 4%, with this being heavily driven by the core turnover, that is the tins and the packets. While growth in the service element of gross takings, bill payments, lottery, etc., have risen at a much slower rate as utility costs eased from the levels prevalent last year. The core business of tins and packets grew year on year at the interim by 4.9%, which, while below the level of food price inflation, is ahead of the performance of the Co-operative food buying group, which all UK consumer cooperative societies belong to. The Society's food business experienced a disappointing trading performance during July and early August, running up to the half-year point, due to the lack of summer weather, which traditionally boosts a convenience store's performance, as consumers look to make the most of the better weather and therefore shop local to save time. Our department store business has experienced a very difficult first half of the year, as the discretionary spend was reined in by consumers, while the lack of summer weather also impacted the sell-through of the spring and summer fashion ranges. Consequently, in department stores, gross takings have dropped 16.1% year on year, with both the fashion and the furniture contributing to the large part of this decline. Out of the two stores that the Society operates, Braintree has fared much better than Chelmsford in the first half of the year, with Braintree growing gross takings very marginally year on year in comparison to Chelmsford, which experienced particularly challenging first half. The Society's travel business has had the most difficult first half that I can recall outside of the pandemic. The business has been plagued by staff shortages, as we have struggled to recruit experienced management and consultants to provide the excellent service that we've become known for. This has impacted the level of turnover, as despite the exceptional job the small pool of colleagues managed to do, they simply could not offer the normal level of service and achieve the normal level of bookings on what was effectively half the number of colleagues the business has traditionally had. The result of these challenges in travel has seen gross takings falling year on year by 8.7%, despite the travel market overall recovering compared to last year, when the impacts of the pandemic were still being felt across the tourism sector. I am pleased to report that staffing levels are now closer to normal, and we are back to being able to offer the service that we have become known for over many years. Finally, our funeral business has traded well during the first half of the year, assisting more families in celebrating the lives of their loved ones. Gross takings in funerals have increased year on year by 3.9%, with our new Basildon branch that opened last year performing at the expected level in the first half of this year. The Society's income or gross profit has grown year on year by 3.9%, with the level being directly impacted by the performance of the department stores and the travel businesses in the first half, as described earlier. The management of gross profit continues to be an area that is heavily focused on to ensure we both protect the gross profit through robust controls and constantly look for opportunities to grow the gross profit in all of our businesses. This focus has paid dividends in the first half of the year, with gross profit in our core business, food, increasing by 6% off of the back of 4% growth in gross takings. Turning to operating costs, the Society's cost to income ratio has increased marginally over last year from 99.15% to 99.22%. This increase is due to a combination of the level of increase in the national living wage that we saw in April, alongside the drop in gross profit in department stores and travel, as a consequence of the gross takings decrease in these areas, as I described earlier. The Society continues to keep a very tight rein on operating costs to ensure that all increases are kept to a minimum, and your board reviews performances on a 4-weekly basis. Management are regularly reviewing all areas of cost to ensure that no unnecessary expenditure is incurred and that value for money is derived from every £1 spent. There is no evidence to suggest that in the short term the pressure on operating costs will fall, and with a potential increase in the national living wage of another 9% in April 2024, along with a potential increase in business rates of 6.7%, unless the government decides to cap the increase, management are already looking at how this can be absorbed without undermining profitability. Operating costs overall have increased by 3.95% in the first half of the year, a performance that is believed to be respectable given where inflation has been running, and with many of the Society's suppliers levying increases to the goods and services that they supply to us. Trading profit in the first half totalled £109,000, and while this is lower than the business plan for the first half had anticipated, it is in line with last year, with just a 3.5% decrease, which, given the challenges being faced in the markets that we operate, the board and management are of the opinion that the Society has held its own under difficult conditions. The food business has had a very encouraging first half, increasing its trading profit by 39% compared to the same time a year ago, reflecting the time and effort that the team have invested into improving the store standards and on-shelf availability. In previous years' annual general meetings and interim meetings, I've made reference to the escalating losses from our department stores business, and we have seen losses escalate quite sharply in the first half of this year, with losses now running at 8.05% of the net sales of the department stores in the first 28 weeks. Work continues to find a solution to these escalating losses to ensure they do not undermine the progress being made in the Society's other retail businesses. At the net profit or profit before distributions level, the Society recorded a level of profit 13,000 or 10.48% lower than last year. In terms of debt, on paper the Society continues to show no debt, but we expect this position to change over the coming months as we begin to invest in our food business through refurbishments. The Society would like to take this opportunity to recognise the ongoing support of the investing members of the Society, without whose investment the continued development of the Society would not be possible. While restrictions remain in place on the level of the investment that can be withdrawn any one calendar year, this continues to be reviewed every month in light of Society performance and market conditions by your Board of Directors. Membership continues to be at the heart of your cooperative society, and the society has continued to help members navigate the cost of living crisis by offering a variety of discounts to members when they trade with the society, including 10% off of grocery spends in many stores. And the figures indicate so far that these offers are being well received by members, with the proportion of the society's gross takings being conducted by members continuing to grow each period. Since the society first started assisting members in November of last year with the cost of living crisis, members have benefited to the tune of £130,000 in discounts on their shopping bills. Turning now briefly to business development, our core business is food, and it is this business that underpins the society's profitability. So it is natural that this business will always stand out in terms of activity. Much of the focus in the first half of the year has been to improve operating controls and standards to ensure that our members and customers can fulfil their shopping missions when visiting our stores and get served in a professional manner. During the first half, the society finalised the planning and design for the next round of refurbishments of the food store estate. The design incorporates a move away from the cooperative food branding and moves to the use of the international cooperative mark, which we currently utilise in our funeral business. The first store to receive the new format was Leon C, and while this was completed in the early part of the second half of the year, it represents an important step in the future of the Society's food stores, and as such is worthy of mention at this point. It is planned that, subject to planning consent, 2 more stores will receive this new look in the second half of this year. In our funeral business, December will see the existing funeral operation at 47 High Street, Ingatestone, moving into the adjacent unit to our food business in Spread Eagle Place, Ingatestone, and hence reducing the operating cost base of the society by utilising space within the food store that is currently underutilised. Now also seems the ideal time to comment on some press coverage that has appeared recently about a Co-op food store opening later this year in a unit outside Chelmsford railway station. This is a unit that was previously occupied by Marks and Spencer's Simply Food. This store is not being opened by Chelmsford staff, but instead by another cooperative society. The society can confirm that the announcement of this new Co-op store has no impact on the operation of the society's long-standing store in Duke Street. I trust members have found this trading update useful and informative, and we look forward to speaking to you again at the AGM in May of next year.